And this morning we're going to use weights. So you can have light weights or heavy weights or whatever you want, or one of each. And we're going to get started lying down. So go ahead and make your way over to your mat and lie yourself down. So I think I'm going to turn off this projector since we're not really using it. I didn't to put your camera on speaker view, but if you haven't done that, you probably want to do that. And I'm going to turn this projector off and we'll begin lying down. So maybe you're already there, and as you're lying down, just take a few moments to see what it feels like to be here in this moment. Just kind of scan your body with your mind and recognize how you're feeling this morning. This morning, this moment. How do your feet feel? How do your legs feel? How does your torso feel? Your arms? What's the feeling in the muscles of the head and neck? And how are you feeling just in general, like emotionally, mentally? Maybe you had a good night's sleep and you're feeling energetic and awake. Maybe you're feeling kind of sluggish. Your day hasn't really gotten going yet. Maybe there's, some challenging emotions you're dealing with, some hard stuff. So just see if you can recognize and acknowledge how you're feeling this morning, given what you're experiencing in your life. And hold that recognition, that awareness, with a sense of love and acceptance and understanding. Just as if you are your own best friend. Because really we are. We're always there for ourselves. And let's just be kind to ourselves this morning. Give ourselves that type of encouragement that we would offer to a dear friend when they share how they're feeling. And as we're lying back here now, let's begin to tap into the feeling of our breathing, feeling our breath expanding into the body, nice full deep breath in, and feeling the feeling of the breath as it empties and releases out of us. Let it go fully and completely. See if you can breathe in through your nose. If that's possible, breathe in through your nose. And the out breath can be either through the nose or out through the mouth. But let that exhale be full and emptying out. Moisturizing the breath, filtering the breath if we breathe in through the nose. Feeling that breath expanding. And then that calming effect of the breath releasing and emptying out. Just a few more rounds of deep breathing here. Maybe noticing how this act of deepening, slowing down the breath, seeing if that changes your mental, emotional state. With this last round of deep breathing, can you soften the roof of your mouth? Beginning this practice with a relaxed body and mind. And after your next full release of breath, with your next breath in, you can open your eyes. We'll take our feet off the floor now. Let's hug knees into chest. Maybe sway a little bit. So when we hug the knees in, we kind of round the low back a little bit. We move into a more flexed lower back. And then as we release our feet down to the floor, we come into our neutral spine where there might be a little bit of curve in the low back. And of course, another option would be to tip the front of the hips forward, creating more of a curve in the low back with a pelvic tilt forward. So if we come back to neutral, this is our point that is kind of optimal. So, and this is where we land when our feet are on the floor. So if we take one foot off the floor, bringing the knee up, we probably maintain neutral. If we take the other foot up, we might have lost the neutral a little bit, or, potentially you still have neutral spine. So we're going to try and have neutral spine as we tap one toe down and then bring that knee up. And we tap the other toe down and bring the knee up. So as you're doing this simple movement of tapping a toe down and bringing a knee up, can you maintain that neutral position of your low back? Maybe a little bit of curve. It's not arching or flattening. It's just as it is. So that should be fairly accessible when the toe taps in kind of close to the body, as I'm demonstrating here. So now we're going to start to take the toe a little further away. And as the toe goes further away, in order to keep the back from arching, we're going to engage brace through the core, which is what we want to do here now. So we're tapping the toe a little further away. And you might go a little further away with that leg. And it becomes a little more challenging to maintain the neutral spine as the toe taps a little further away each time. The next time, maybe extend the leg a little further and bring your heel down. So it's almost a straight leg and then coming back up. And then bringing the heel down lightly and coming back up. So this is quite a bit more challenging to keep the spine neutral. And what we need to do is brace and engage the core muscles, the low belly in particular, to keep the back from arching, hip flexors as well. So maybe just one or two more times, dropping that heel and bringing the knee up and extending out through the heel and knee back up. Great. And then you can give your low back, your belly a rest as your feet come down on the floor. Let's place our hands now on our low ribs, like hold on to them, grab on, feel them, held by your hands. And we're going to take a breath in. And as we exhale, we're going to start to let the low ribs draw in and down. And with the hands, kind of facilitate that, pressing the low ribs in toward the floor and towards each other on your exhale. And then as you inhale, just let the ribs separate and lift a little. So the exhale, we're letting the hands help to knit the ribs down into the belly. And then the inhale, they release. So on this next exhale, as we knit the ribs down into the belly, start to lift up your head, neck, and shoulders. And feel how you can maybe knit your ribs in and down even more as you come up. And then release that as you go back. Breathe. So again, knitting the ribs, your hands can facilitate this movement. Feel them knitting into the belly as you lift your head, neck, and shoulders, and then inhale and release back. So this time, lift your head a little bit off the floor, clasp your hands beneath your head, take a breath in, and then without your hands, just using your upper abdominal muscles, knit your ribs into your belly as you lift up head, neck, and shoulders. Really feel them pulling in and down. Then reach out beyond your knees so you come up maybe a little bit higher, and then hands come back, inhale and release back. So again, exhale, knit the ribs down into the belly, come on up, reach towards the knees, and then bring your hands back, release your head down. Two more like that, knitting your ribs into your belly as you curl up and you reach out, and then hands come back, inhale and release back. One more time, knitting the ribs in, reaching the arms out, and then releasing back and down. All right, one more thing for the abdominals. Let's take the arms out wide like a T. We're going to bring our knees up, and then let's bring our legs up. We'll go ahead and loosen up a little bit here, flexing and pointing the feet, circling at the ankles in one direction, and then circling the other way. And then with your legs up in the air, with your legs together, take a breath in. As you exhale, let your legs start to drop over to the right. Go really slowly here. The left hip starts to lift up a little bit as you're taking your legs over to the right. And then you start to feel your left side waist engaging here to support the legs. So take a breath in and then use that side waist to bring your legs back up. Let's go to the other side. Go slow. Let your legs start to drop over. The right hip lifts up and then the right waist starts to engage to support the legs here. And then take a breath in and use that right side waist to bring your legs back up. Again, let's go over to the right, slow and controlled. Can you feel the action of your side waist engaging to support the legs? Take a breath in and then exhale, bringing the legs back up and let them go over to the left till that right side waist fires. Take a breath in and then use the waist to bring the legs back up. All right, let's release the feet to the floor. We're going to roll to the side and we're going to use a light weight. So one light weight, I'm going to use a 3-pound weight. We're going to have a weight in our top hand. We're going to let our head rest on our bottom arm, or you could slide a pillow or blanket under there. Let's bend the knees to a 90-degree angle and we'll pick up the weight in our top hand. We're going to bring our elbow by our waist and have our forearm parallel to the floor with the fist forward towards the camera, computer, whatever. So the elbow is by the waist, the fist is forward. We're going to lift that arm up toward the ceiling, and the tendency is to cock the wrist back. Try to keep your wrist straight, and then lower that arm again, forearm parallel to the floor. So elbow stays close. A lot of times the elbow lifts up. Bring it in by your waist. Take your fist toward the ceiling, and then let the forearm come back down. So straight up without cocking the wrist, elbow by the waist, and then forearm parallel to the floor. At the same time, with your feet together, lift your knee up, and then lower your knee back down. So the knee lifts and the forearm lifts, and then we come back down. So we're not gonna drop back. We're not gonna lean back. We're not moving the trunk. We're just moving the knee up, the arm up, maybe starting to feel some action in the back of the shoulder on that arm that's lifting and lowering. Do a couple more. You can inhale as the arm and knee go up, exhale as they come down, inhale as they go up, exhale as they go down. Can we do 2 more? Inhale as they go up, exhale as they go down, and last one. Nice job. All right, set the weight down in front, push yourself up. We're going to swing ourselves around to the other side and do the same thing. So if you weren't on when I said this earlier, I'm taking it a little easy today. I had a dental implant. So on this side, I'm not going to use the weight. So you probably will pick up your weight and you're going to have it in your hand. You're going to have your elbow by your waist. You're going to have your knees stacked, your feet together. With your elbow by your waist, just lift that arm up toward the ceiling. Try not to cock your wrist, and then bring the forearm parallel to the floor. Lifting that arm up, trying not to let the elbow come off of the waist, and then bring the forearm parallel to the floor. Working into the back of the shoulder, the rotators here, and then lowering down. At the same time, with the feet together, let the knee lift up and allow the knee to come back down. So just lifting up and coming back down, and lifting up and coming back down. Starting to feel that work in the back of the shoulder. That's where we're targeting. If your shoulder has some history of injury and it starts to be too much, you could put the weight down. Do it without the weight. Can we do a couple more here? Lifting up and lowering down. Lifting up. Maybe that's enough and you take a break. Maybe you do 2 more. It's harder for me to know how many we've done without the weight, but I think this is about right. All right. So place the weight down and let's transition to all fours. Coming up to all fours. Knees beneath hips, wrists beneath shoulders, spine nice and long, taking a breath. All right, so from here, we're gonna do some variations. So one variation is gonna be just to come down onto the forearms one at a time, and then come back up to hands. And then switch the arm that you start with. So you come down onto the other forearm, and the other forearm, and then come up onto the hand. So that's level 1. If you would like a greater challenge, we're going to curl the toes under and lift the knees up. And with the knees lifted, no, I'm not going to do that, but if you have your knees lifted, can you come down onto one forearm and the other forearm up onto your hand and your other hand, and then starting with the opposite arm. So you might have your knees lifted, doing this from a hover, or you might do this with your knees down. Let's just do that a couple more times, starting with a different arm each time, and lowering down. So we're just bearing weight. We're just doing some weight-bearing movement for the upper body here. Nice work. Once you make your way back, if you were hovering, put your knees down. Let's do spinal balance. So we'll just take one leg and press back through the heel, checking in if we drop the belly, supporting the belly with a little bracing through the core. And then that opposite arm reaching out in front. Rotate the gaze to look down. So the back of the neck is long, the crown of the head extends forward, the fingertips reach forward, the heel presses back. The spine is neutral here. Can we maintain that neutral alignment if we drop to pinky and big toe, and then maintain that alignment as the arm and leg reach out long? Again, lower down pinky and toe, inhale and reach long, lower down pinky and toe. As we inhale and reach long, can you really press back through that heel, fire up the whole leg, take a big breath, and then release that hand and knee down. We'll do the other side. So the other leg goes back, pressing out through the heel, pulling toes to the floor, and checking to make sure you're not dropping the belly, supporting the belly. Opposite arm reaches forward now, gazing down at the floor, reaching long, fingertip to heel, taking a breath, and then lowering down, pinky and big toe. When we lift that arm out and leg out long, can you maintain that neutral spine? Lower down and touch. Inhale and reach out. Lower down and touch. Inhale and reach. One more time. Lower down and touch. Inhale, reach out long. Press out through your heel. Fire up that leg. Take a breath. And then release the hand. Release the knee, and we'll sit back into child's pose. Letting the forehead drop down to the floor or onto your bent arms. Taking a moment here to breathe, feel, check in. When you're ready, you can lift your head up. We'll reach the arms out in front. And I invite you to make your way into downward facing dog. I'm not going to do down dog, but I want you guys to ground through your hands. Take your hips way up and back. Breathe in and out. Let your heads relax down. Maybe begin to pedal your heels, one knee bending, one heel dropping down, and then alternating, stretching into that lower leg. Feeling a stretch in the calf and ankle, just alternating heels down. And then maybe bending both knees a bit. Draw your hips way up and back. Feel that length in your spine. Maybe create a little space between your shoulder blades, broadening across your upper back. Take a deep breath in and out. Let it empty, let it release. And then when you're ready, walk your hands back towards your feet, ending up folded over bent knees. As you're there in your ragdoll position, take a breath in. As you exhale, draw your belly in and begin to roll yourself up. Just slowly, gradually rolling yourself up, stacking your spine, one vertebra on top of the other. The last thing to come up will be your head. Standing up nice and tall, take a breath in. And you can let that breath go. All right, let's turn towards me. We're going to do sumo. So we're going to have our feet a little wider than hips, toes turned out. We'll start to take the hips back and take the knees forward. So when we come into our initial sumo stance, oftentimes we could go a little deeper. We can often take the hips a little further back and take the knees a little more forward. So we get a little more flexion in the hips, a little more flexion in the knees, but we're not going to let the chest drop towards the floor. Let's try lifting the right heel up real high and lower it slowly for a count of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and down. We'll lift the left heel up real high and slowly lower. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and down. Let's try lifting both heels up real high and slowly lower. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and down. And then we'll straighten up. We'll go back again, hips back, knees forward. Let's lift the heels just barely so they're grazing the mat. And with that little bit of contact, we'll straighten the legs, feeling the pelvic floor engaging there. We'll lower the heels and do that one more time, hips back, knees forward, lifting the heels just barely. And then with that slight heel raise, we'll straighten the legs. Maybe feeling that engagement in the pelvic floor. All right, let's bring our feet together and we're going to pick up some weights. You could probably have heavier weights for this one. If you have, lighter and heavier, I think you might find you could do heavier for this. Maybe I should do light. All right, so we're going to have sort of a squat stance, so maybe slightly wider than hip distance and maybe a slight turnout of the feet. And first, I just want you to heel raise. So come up, lift your heels, activating your calves, challenging your balance a bit, and then lowering down. Bring your weights by your shoulders. And as you lift your heels up, just do a press. And then as your heels come down, arms, hands back by your shoulders. So we're pressing up and we're coming back down. Maybe we wobble a little bit and that's okay. We're waking up the ankles and the calves. We're waking up the shoulders here. Pressing up and coming back down. All right, so we're gonna press up and come back down. Now we're gonna squat. So knees go in the direction of the toes. We lower down, and as we lower down, we'll bring the arms down. And then as we straighten up, we'll bring the arms up. And then we'll press up, heel raise, press up, and then come down, squat. Lower your arms down and bring them back up. Push into your feet and legs. Rise up, breathe in. Exhale, lower, squat. Arms lower, come on up and push up. Sit back, lower your arms, curl up, push into your feet and legs, rise up. A few more like this. Sitting back, coming up, pushing up, sitting back, coming up, pushing up. A few more like this. Waking up the legs, waking up the shoulders here. Yeah. Last one here. Coming up and coming down. Okay, with your feet beneath you now, we're going to do a little more balance challenge. getting the hips to work as well a bit here. We're gonna balance on one leg and lift the knee up. And as the knee lifts up, we'll bring the arms up. Then we're gonna try to extend the leg and press the arms up. Bend the knee, bring the arms down, and then lower the feet. So the arms and the legs kind of go together. The knee comes up, we curl up. The leg extends, we press up. The knee bends, we come back. The foot goes down, the arms go down. The knee comes up, curl up, extend the leg, press up, bend the knee, and lower down. So can you have that knee coming straight out from your hip? As the leg extends, press out through your heel. Keep the knee at the height of the hip, and then lower down. Couple more. Knee comes up, heel presses forward, knee bends, height of the hip, lower down. Again, knee bends, heel presses forward, knee bends, lowering down. One more time each side. Knee comes up, press through the heel, bend the knee, and lower down. Last one, knee comes up, press through the heel, knee bends, lower down. Nice work. Okay, we're gonna set our weights aside. Now we're gonna come to the front of the mat. I'm gonna guide you through some flowing movement. I'm not gonna be doing it all with you. But we're gonna root down to stand tall. We'll take the arms and reach them out. We'll inhale and reach up. Press down through your feet to lengthen and lift up. Then let's swan dive forward. Arms go out as you swan dive and fold over bent knees. As you're folded over, take a big breath into your upper back. And as you exhale, extend your spine forward. You could have hands on your shins or fingertips on the floor. And then inhale and round into your upper, breathe into your upper back. And exhale and extend. All right, so drop into your fold, bring your hands to the floor, and walk your feet back to downward facing dog. Round down through your hands to draw your hips way up and back as you breathe in. And then let's exhale and lower to straight arm plank. Nice and strong through the arms. Nice and long, heel to crown. Take a breath. Now you might drop onto your back knees with your knees kind of behind your hips. And just like we did before, we're going to try lifting one hand off the floor, or no, coming down onto a forearm, and then back up onto a hand, and then starting with the other arm. Forearm, and then hand and hand. So we might have our knees down. We could try this from a plank position. Forearm, hand, and hand, starting with the other arm. Forearm, and hand. So maybe you're in a plank with your knees off. Maybe you're in a plank with your knees down. Take a breath. As you exhale, lower down onto belly, all the way into your prone mountain. Tops of the feet, heels of the hands sliding down, rotating the chin in so you're hovering your face close to the floor. Then let's inhale up to baby cobra, lifting between the shoulders, drawing the heart forward, taking a breath. Exhaling back down. Let's do that again. Inhale up to baby cobra, lengthening, drawing the heart forward. We'll lift our hands up now and draw the elbows toward the ceiling, hug the elbows in toward the midline. And then exhale, hands down, chest down. This time hands stay on the ground as we inhale up to baby cobra and perhaps pushing up into cobra, coming up a bit higher. And then we exhale back down. Let's push up to knees, curl the toes unders, lift the knees coming up to straight arm plank, and then use the belly, pull up and back to downward facing dog. Breathe in and out here. Look forward a bit, walk your feet up toward your hands, end up folded over bent knees. From there, bring your hands to heart, bend your knees, lower your hips, bring your chest up so you're sitting back in a chair. Reach your arms forward so you might be able to sit a little further back into your chair. Take one arm and sweep it behind you. Inhale and open into a twist. Exhale, sweep that arm down and forward. Take that other arm, sweep it down and behind you, open into a twist. Take a breath. Sweep that arm down and forward. Sitting back in your heels now. Reach your arms up toward your ears and then push into your feet and legs to inhale and straighten up, reach up. Exhaling, arms down to your side. Nice work. All right, let's pick up some weights. I think you could probably use your heavier weights here if you have 2 sets. Standing, I think I'll stand over here because my sound system is on this side. I'm hoping you're hearing me all right this morning. So standing at the front of your mat, you can just have your weights by your chest, have your feet hip distance apart, and come into that seated chair position again, or a bit of a squat. So from feet hip distance apart now, let's take a big step back with one foot. And you can initially have that heel down to find your alignment and get really steady. And then if you can, lift that back heel up. Press out through that heel, firm up that back leg. Let's drop the arms down. So at this point, we're kind of leaned forward, and we're gonna press the straight arms back here. How high can you lift the arms toward the ceiling? And then lower your arms down to your side. So again, press your arms straight back. Your fists are rotated in, your pinkies are pressing up. And then lower your arms down. So if we press the arms up and back as high as we can we leave the elbows where they are and just hinge the lower arms in and then press them straight back. Keep the elbows where they are, hinge your lower arms in and press them straight back. Again, hinging in and pressing straight back. Really firing up the triceps here, bending in and pressing straight back. Couple more. Try not to let your elbows drop. Keep them where they are and extend back. 2 more. Bending in and extending back. Bending in and extending back. All right, lower your arms down. Start to lift your chest up. You might put a little more bend in your back knee. So as we bring the chest up, we often tip the hips forward. So can you try to find a more neutral position of your pelvis? It might mean a little deeper bend in your back knee. So rather than your hips tip forward, your pelvis is neutral, right? So with this neutral spine now, bend your back knee down. As we bend the back knee down, let's laterally raise the arms and then lower the arms as we straighten. So we bend and lift, straighten and lower. Bend and lift, straighten and lower. Bend and lift, straighten and lower. A few more like this, targeting the deltoids, the muscles in the upper shoulders, upper arm. And lower, bend and lift, and lower. One more time. As you're down here now, can you turn your palms up, reach the arms up, straight up from your shoulders, and then take the arms out, lower them down, straighten the leg. One more like that. Bend both knees, reach the arms up, turn your palms up, reach up toward the ceiling, breathe in, take the arms back out, lower them down, straighten the leg. Great. All right, we're gonna lean forward, bending the front knee. You can bring the weights to your chest and then step that back foot in. Feet are hip distance apart. Take a big step back with your other foot. Your heel can be down initially. Find your hip width distance of your feet. your legs. And then lift the back heel up. Drop your arms down. So now we're leaning forward. Weight is over this front foot and leg. Take your straight arms and sweep them back as high as they can go. And then lower them down. Sweep the arms up and back and then lower them down. As you take your arms straight up and back, wherever your elbows are, leave them there. Hinge your lower arm in and press straight back. Can you bend your lower arm in without dropping the elbows at all? Bend the lower arm in and press straight back. Bend the lower arms in and press straight back. Let's do 4 more and press, and 3 more and press, and 2 more and press. And last one, press it back, hold it up, take a breath, and then lower your arms. Now we're going to lift the chest up and think about neutral pelvis. So rather than the hips tip forward, pelvis more neutral. Arms down at your side, bend your back knee, bend your front knee, and lateral raise. Lower the arms as you straighten. Bend and lift, lower and straighten. Bend and lift, lower and straighten. Neutral pelvis, spine rising up, breathing with the movement here. A few more like this. And then the next time you bend, back knee down, front knee bending, and lift, turn your palms up, lift the arms up and breathe. Take the arms back out, and then lower them down, straighten both legs. One more time like that. Bend and lift, turn your palms up, reach up, breathe in. Take the arms out, lower them down, and straighten. All right, bring the weights to your chest. Bend your front knee, lean forward. Step the back foot in, sitting back in your chair. And then push into your legs to straighten up. Nice work. All right, we're going to come into a wide stride. You're going to have some weights. I'm going to choose this gentle option. I'm not supposed to exert myself. So go. You probably came here wanting to exert yourself, so please do so. So we're going to turn the left foot in and turn the right foot out. And let's just bend the front knee and get this nice alignment. Feel the hips level, dropping down. And let's have elbows by the waist and curl up. So fists towards your body with your weights. And then lower down. So elbows by your waist, curling up as we bend and lowering down. So, you know, our biceps are quite strong. So you might be able to use your heavier weights for this. And lower. Curl up. And lower. Curl up. And lower. All right. Now, this one might be challenging with your heavier weights. We're going to come into cactus arms. And as you bend the knee, we're going to bring the elbows forward and then open out. So you can bring them straight forward. You could bring them closer and then open out. Bring them in and open them out. Trying to keep the elbows at the height of the shoulders. We'll just do a few more of these. We're going to do these on the other side as well. And just 2 times we're going to press up, fists facing, and then back to cactus. Fists facing, reach up, and then back to cactus. All right, relax your arms. Let's go to the other side. Right foot turns in, left foot turns out. Elbows by your waist. We're going to curl up as we bend, lower down as we straighten. Curl up and bend, and lower. Curl up, biceps working here. We're not holding our breath. We're just breathing naturally here. We'll do 2 more like this. And then taking those weights. So you've got goalposts or cactus arms. As we bend the knee, bringing those elbows towards each other, they could come straight out from the shoulders, or they might come all the way to have your forearms touch. Whatever's better for your body. We'll do a few more of these. Opening out, coming in, opening out. If the heavy weights are too much, switch it up. And then 2 times we're just going to press up. Press up, palms face, and then fists are forward. Press up, fists face, and fists forward. All right, drop your arms, turn your feet forward, walk your feet together. You can put your weights down. We're going to make our way down to the floor. We're going to do a couple of bridge poses lying down. And then I'd like you to put your heels on a chair or a couch or something like that. So if you want to grab a chair to have it nearby before you come down, you could do so. So lying down, initially, we're not going to put our legs on the chair. Initially, we're just going to do a couple of bridge poses to just create so a little more mobility in our spine. So lie back on the floor without a blanket under your head at this point. Have your feet about as wide as your hips, your arms at your side. Take a moment and just let the back of your low ribs kind of drop into the floor. And then take a breath in. And as you exhale, can you start to lift your tailbone off the floor? Then lift your sacrum off the floor. And then start to peel your lower vertebrae gradually off the floor until you get to the point where just your low ribs are still down, but the part of the spine beneath the ribs is lifted. Take a breath and then see if you can slowly, gradually release those lower vertebrae into the floor, and then release your sacrum, and then release your tailbone. Find that neutral spine. Take a breath. Let's try that again. We're just going to lift the tailbone, lift the sacrum, and slowly, gradually start to lift the lumbar vertebrae until you reach the point where the thoracic spine begins, where the ribs attach. Take a breath there, and then just unfurl that lower back. A lot of us, that's where a lot of our stiffness is, in the lumbar spine. And then lower all the way down and take a breath. This time we'll do a full bridge. So we're going to lift the tailbone, the sacrum, those lower vertebrae till we get to where the ribs are. But then we'll continue and peeling the spine up till we bring the weight all the way up onto the shoulders. Once you've lifted up, can you press your knees and shins more forward to create a little more lift and length in the spine? Take a breath. And then can you articulate down slowly, gradually, incrementally? We get to the point where the lumbar and the thoracic spine meet. We tend to be pretty stiff there. So can we slowly, gradually lower down from there until we release the sacrum and the tailbone and let everything relax. Nice work. Okay, so now I'd like you to put your heels on a chair and be lying down with your heels on a chair with your knees bent. Or you could be on the edge of your couch or your bed or something like that. So separate your heels as wide as your hips, and then press your heels down to lift your hips up off the floor. And with your hips up off the floor, you might be noticing how this activates the muscles in your hamstrings and in your glutes. Could you lift just a little bit higher and notice how that makes things work maybe a bit more? Take a breath. And then lower yourself back down and let your legs relax for a moment. Take a breath. And then again, place your heels on the chair and just lift your hips up. And this might be plenty of exertion here, probably is for me. But for those of you who want a greater challenge, can you have your hips lifted and lift one heel off? And then put that heel down and then lift the other heel off. And then put that heel down. You still have your hips up in the air. And then you can lower your hips down and just take a break. Let your legs relax. We're going to try that one more time. So with your heels in, so your knees are just a little forward of your hips, you're going to press your heels down, lift your hips up in the air. Maybe you're just holding just like this, or maybe with your hips lifted, you lift one heel off the chair, put that heel back down, lift the other heel off the chair, put that heel back down. Your hips are still up in the air. Take a breath, and then lower your hips down. Nice job. Let's hug the knees into chest now. Release the legs, release the back, maybe sway a bit. Take a breath. And then let your knees roll to one side so that you can push yourself up to sitting. Coming up into a seated posture, if you find it's more comfortable for you to sit up on a blanket, slide a blanket under your hips to support your spine. That would be one nice variation. We could also be sitting up on a block, and that might help us to have a more upright spine. So we want to feel our sitting bones rooting down, feel our spine nice and tall. Let's take one hand, maybe the right hand, reach it behind, take the left hand across onto the opposite knee, and notice if your hips have started to twist around in that direction. Can you take your navel and bring it back to face forward? So even though your arm is across, your pelvis is facing forward. So root down to rise up and breathe in. And then start to spiral your ribs towards that right direction here. And then let the chest and the shoulders follow. As you're spiraling around to the right, bring your navel back to face forward. Think about the line of the spine, the line of the neck, the continuation of the spine, and let your head gently spiral around as well. And once you're here, take a few deep breaths in and out. Let the breath move in and down. Allow the breath to empty and release. Do that again. Full deep breath in. Big emptying of breath out. Maybe deepening the twist a little on the exhale. And then releasing and unwinding back around to facing front. Rooting your sitting bones down to sit up tall. Take your other hand behind. Right arm comes across. The hips may have started to twist. Bring the navel back around. So the pelvis isn't going to twist. But we rise up tall, we breathe in, and then we twist that thoracic spine, the ribs, the chest, the shoulders, the head and neck. Everything's spiraling around to the left, but then that left hip bone pulling back towards the midline to stabilize the pelvis. And then let's breathe deeply here. Feel the movement of the breath. Feel the exhale, allowing you to maybe move a little deeper into the twist. One more round of breath in and out. And then releasing and unwinding back around. Nice. All right, we're going to transition to our final relaxation. So taking a moment to set yourself up to be nice and comfortable. You might put something under your head. You might put something under your knees. You might cover up with a blanket. You could have a pillow. What would allow you to be most comfortable? Set yourself up in that way. And then lie yourself back. the body so comfortable now that it's very natural for it to relax. Why wouldn't the body relax when you've set yourself up to be able to do so? Maybe there's no holding back, there's no restriction, and your body's really ready for this, and it's just dropping into a nice deep state of relaxation. And perhaps there's some areas of the body that are a little slower to relax. Some area that's been supporting an injury for a long time. That area might be so used to being activated or clenching or gripping that it's not used to relaxing. So slowly, gradually scan your body with your mind and invite any area that seems to be still holding on to tension to soften, relax, release, and let go. Maybe in the lower body, in the belly, maybe in the upper body, wherever you're not relaxed. Invite that area to soften a bit more. And once the body is relaxed, check in with ease and relaxation in the muscles in the face, forehead, eyes, cheeks, jaw, throat, all relaxing now. Soft, smooth. And let your mind be like your body now, just resting here as you are. We don't really recognize how much we hold our bodies tightly, protectively. And what a gift to learn to let that go. Let go of that tension that we don't need to hold on to. So as you continue to lie back, or if you prefer, you can start to transition out of your relaxation now. I'll share a reading with you. It's called Open Up to Who You Are by Melody Beattie. She says, stop criticizing yourself. Stop telling yourself everything you think, feel, want, and do is wrong, or at least not quite right. You've been holding back, censoring yourself for far too long. Your creativity, your intuition, the voice of your soul is the very voice you've been silencing. For many reasons, we learn to criticize and censor ourselves. We may have grown up with people who stifled our inner voice, our wisdom, our knowledge of truth. Our sense of the truth may have caused them to feel uneasy, so they told us to hush. It met their needs to keep us quiet, so we learned to hush ourselves. It was how we survived. No longer do we need to meet other people's needs, not that way. We don't have to be afraid of ourselves or what we will find if we look inside. We don't need to run from ourselves. We don't need to hide or hush ourselves. We are creative, loving, purposeful beings. It's time to open up to yourself, to your grandest dreams and aspirations, your real inclinations and desires, your wisdom and knowledge about what is true and what is real. Open up to who you are. Listen to yourself. Express yourself. Enjoy who you are, and you will find others enjoying you too. So I thank you for joining me this morning. It's lovely to be together. Hope you all have a really nice day, and I wish you peace. Thanks for putting up with my limitations this morning. And I'll be back to myself next time.